Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another round of Basis Picks. I'm not going to do every single fight that is on tonight. Some of them, let's be honest, they're foregone conclusions. But with that being said, let's start with the Matchroom card that's going to be taking place in Sheffield. So first off, we're going to be looking at Jordan Thompson against Vasil Duka. Now, unlike Jordan's previous opponents, this guy is actually a lot more credible. He's definitely a step up from where he's been fighting. Duka isn't like the greatest of, opponents, but he's been in the ring with a lot more solid opposition than Thompson, from the likes of Samuel Kaji, who he actually beat, who was 12-0 at the time. He's been in there with Kevin Lorena, who is quite high up in the cruiserweight rankings at the moment as well. He's also been in there with Alexei Egorov, who was a very, very high level and credible sort of prospect within the cruiserweights. He was in there with Chris Billum-Smith, and he's also been in there with Mike Perez. Like, anyone who knows Mike Perez knows that he's a serious operator, and if it wasn't for issues of having to stay amateur as long as he has, he probably would have been a pretty forceful guy within the pro game. So, Duka, he lost 4 out of those 5 matches that I'm referring to, but the only person that he didn't go the distance with was Mike Perez, and that was purely because I think he got retired in the corner by the doctor or something like that, if I remember correctly. So this guy is definitely coming to play. Jordan's not gonna have his way with the whole first, second and third round knockouts like he's been having. So now this one's pretty much all about what his gas tank's saying. I believe that level wise he is above Duka and will be able to get a decision, but I do believe it will be a decision. I don't see him stopping him unless it's very, very late, or maybe he gets pulled out by the corner. So if it is a stoppage, I'm gonna say probably round 10, 11 or 12, but I can see this one getting the distance. As I said, Duka he's got a lot about him. He's a tough guy, and he's not going to just come to lay down. It's for that IBF European belt, so pretty much, yeah, I feel like that's how this one's going to end. So I'm going with Thompson, but I'm going by a decision or very late pullout. Okay, next one, and probably my most curious fight on this entire card will be Erica Farias versus Sandy Ryan 2. Now, in the first fight, I was one of the few people that said that Erica Farias might be a step too far for Sandy at that particular time. She's got the kind of style that doesn't lean itself well to to Sandy, especially at that particular time when she used to throw a lot of heavy shots, but she used to be able to pick them. She used to be able to walk her opponents down. It's a lot different when you've got someone that's basically sitting on your chest all night, making you have to work when you're not really ready to. And even though Sandy did hurt Erica a few times, them Argentinian women are very, very tough. The Argentinian men are very tough as well. And she was just able to kind of stay on the inside. She bloodied up Sandy's nose. I don't think Sandy was anticipating not having things her own way, as she's probably used to having up to that point. But she'd only had 3 fights previously. So, it was a big gamble to take that fight. And the fact that she took it meant, the kind of player and the kind of level she believes herself to be, and how she plans to execute moving forward. Now, she also missed the weight the first time around, which was curious. This time she came within weight, and looking at and I'm going to go purely by what I saw at the weigh-in, when Erica Farias was up in her face, like giving it to her. The first time Sandy looked like she was biting, she looked like she was really getting involved in that. This time she looked and she just smiled, and she was just licking her lips. And the way she done that, and look, psychology is not my bag, but I saw that like, raw, you're looking at this woman like a mill right now. She was calm, she was composed, she didn't get riled up, she didn't react, she just smiled and licked her lips. That tells me that she's in the right frame of mind for this one. I don't think she's gonna box and move as much as maybe some people might think she would, especially boxing and moving, because Erica's an older lady, so if you make her move a bit more, you can wear her down quicker and then sort of take her out late. I do think that Sandy Ryan is gonna avenge the loss, but I think Erica stays in there. I think it goes decision. I think Sandy's gonna look for that knockout in the sort of the middle stages of the fight, but I think Erica's gonna stick around. I think Sandy's gonna get the decision on this one, because let's be fair, the first time around, they were kind of dying to give her the result anyway, even with like Erica getting a point deduction. So I think she's going to do a lot better this time. I think she's going to do enough to make it a convincing victory. So I'm going to go with a points decision. I wouldn't be surprised if a stoppage happens in some form, but I'm going with points. So yeah, I'm going Sandy Ryan on points to avenge the loss. So the last fight on this card would be Dalton Smith against Sam Mason. Now, I'm not really going to spend too much time on this one. Sam is going to give his all, pretty much. He comes in there to fight. He's not going to lay down. He really wants this. This is sort of like his swan song. He needs this in order to step himself up to, still within that British, possibly trying to move to that European level. But I do believe that Dalton Smith is a couple levels above him. He might take a couple shots he's not supposed to, because he'll stay on the inside a bit too quick, looking to close the show. But yeah, without going into too much detail, I see Dalton Smith taking this one by mid-late round stoppage. So I'm talking about rounds 7 to 9. That's what I'm looking at. So Dalton Smith to win between round 7 to 9. Now, here comes my personal fight of the day, or the night, however you want to drop it. We're talking about Blair the Flair Cobbs and Maurice Hooker. Now, to me, it's literally just because this is going to be one of those fun fights where there's going to be a lot of hands thrown, there's going to be a lot of bluster, there's going to be a lot of gesturing, and there's going to be a lot of entertainment, especially within the ring walks and probably the after fight interviews as well. But outside of that, I mean, look, Blair's not anything special, but he's entertaining. I like watching him. He gives it his all. He's got good heart. He doesn't, even when he's rocked, like he's still in the fight. He doesn't sort of cower. He's just, to me, he's just entertaining. He's a bit like a lower level or a lower weight division Babbage, in terms that like he's gonna fight. He's not gonna stink out the joint. He's gonna try it. He's gonna come and he's gonna bring his A game. He's gonna bring his everything for as long as he's able to. Now, yeah, he got dusted by Alexis Rocha in his last fight, but Maurice Hooker's been out of the ring for a year. Obviously, he had the broken wrist. I think he had a shoulder injury, which is why he pulled out of the Conor Benn fight, I think back in March or whenever it was supposed to happen. He also missed weight, so he came in at 150 pounds instead of 147. Like, considering he used to campaign at 140, it's a bit of a telling sign, but it might also just mean that he couldn't be bothered to drop those extra 3 pounds, which could mean that he's got a lot more in the tank at the moment. But Blair Cobbs was quite happy to still have the fight, so Hooker could have a bit more in the gas tank. If he keeps the fight as a boxing match, just keeps it long, just keeps Blair on the end of his jab, considering he's got the longer reach, he's slightly taller, he could have a lot more success. But knowing Maurice Hooker, he's gonna like to just stand in the phone booth or back off of the ropes and throw uppercuts from the ropes. So it's just gonna be a fun fight. But ultimately, Maurice Hooker, former champion, he's got the boxing credentials. I see him winning this fight. But I'm actually gonna go decision. I don't think Blair Cobbs is gonna get another KO loss against him, because even the last time he got stopped on his feet by the ref, he wasn't down and couldn't beat the count. So I think he's gonna survive it. But yeah, I think Maurice Hooker's gonna win this quite comfortably, like a unanimous decision on the cards. But this is my fight of the night. Okay, so next we got Marlin Esparza against Eva Guzman. She's going to be defending her unified WBC, WBA and ring flyweight titles. Now, this fight is pretty much a nothing fight, to be honest. Like, Eva Guzman's no great shakes. Marlin is not going to be in any real danger of being outboxed. She's also not going to be in any danger of being stopped because Guzman is not a particularly big puncher either. She will be a bit busy, so Marlin will have to basically box and move as she normally does. This one's going to be a pretty boring unanimous decision. Unfortunately, Esparza's going to win, but it's not going to be an entertaining fight in any great shapes. Yeah, but Esparza wins. UD. This one won't be one of the ones where she was gifted the decision like some of the previous fights she had, but yeah, she will win this one, unanimous decision, and then hopefully go into a unification with one of the more seasoned pros in that flyweight division. And finally we go to Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus Michael Mickinson, or McKinson, however people choose to say it. Now, this one is going to be very tricky for Ortiz to begin with. McKinson's a very awkward fighter, southpaw as well, and he's a stick and move guy, but from all intents and purposes he's actually got a lot more power than his record suggests. He's 20-0 with 2 KOs, but a lot of his opponents he has dropped them once or twice in fights, and I guess it's either he doesn't step on the gas to get them out of there, or they go into defensive mode to prevent him from being able to get the knockout. But he's like I said, he's very tricky, very mobile, so he will be on his toes. He will be looking for angles and looking for shots in between Virgil Ortiz's shots. Not to mention, Ortiz has been out of the ring now for nearly a year, if not a year. I can't remember exactly when his last fight was, and he had the issue with the rhabdomyolysis as well, which prevented him from facing Mickinson earlier on in the year as well. So it's going to take him a while to kind of get to range, but he's just a naturally bigger guy. He's a bigger guy, a much harder puncher. He's got the boxing fundamentals. He's got the amateur pedigree. He's looking at that world title past this fight. So I don't think he's going to be avoiding and looking past McKinson. But as long as he sort of stays centered and I can see him kind of getting to him from round 5 onwards, and I can actually see this fight ending in Virgil Ortiz stopping Michael McKinson about round 10. I'm gonna think it's gonna go late, because those first 5 to 6 rounds are gonna be tricky, but after that I think he's just gonna get to him, and the power is gonna be enough where McKinson's, I feel like he's gonna get taken out sort of around 10. So that's my prediction for the fight. Okay, so those are my predictions, a little bit later than it should have been. Apologies, I was meant to put this out yesterday, but you know how things go. Leave yours down in the comments. Let me know if you agree, what you disagree with. Let me know what your ones are, and ultimately we can see who's right at the end of the day and who's wrong. Bit of fun, but you know what it is. Otherwise, for now, the Spaces Picks locked.